Hey Amanda,
Hi.
how's it going?
Yeah, good. Just hanging out at school.
Right on. Did you hear that bio? Did I cover
Yep.
all the pertinent
Yep.
topics?
Yep. Sounded
Awesome.
great.
Awesome.
Excited to be here.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
You're awesome. Like in terms of education, you are a standard bearer. Like I said, just a powerhouse. You've seen it
Thank
all. You've done
you.
it all, and you're currently at Future Public School in Garden City. So, just to start off, can you just tell us what it is that you do?
Sure. So I am co-founder and executive director here at Future Public School. We are currently an elementary school serving students K-5 with the vision to grow up through the 8th grade. But in terms of kids and families, I'm the principal. So get to interact with teachers, kids, families, pretty standard in that sense, but also get to interact a lot with the community and help share about the vision for what we hope to be true about our school.
Yeah. And so how long have you been the director or the principal there at Future now?
Yep. So this is just our third year. I just had something pop up on Facebook yesterday that just 2 years ago, we were having our big ribbon cutting and getting in the building. So we're going into our third year of being a full school with kids in the building this fall. But I've been working
And what
developing Future back in 2016. So about 4 years.
and what's that like though? Like seeing the whole like concept that you had, and then in terms because I mean you put together the plan for Future Public School, and then you've been also just seeing it come to fruition over the years, and now you're going into your third year. How is
Yeah.
that? What's that process been like?
Yeah. I don't have children, but from friends that do, I think it's very similar to a pregnancy in ways of like you have this baby coming, you love it so much, you have put so much thought in planning, and then it arrives and you share it with other people. And I think in a lot of ways, there's just been so many emotions of not knowing, like, knowing what we want Future to be, but knowing that it is changing as our kids are coming in and our families and that other people get to be a part of it. And so the first couple years were certainly a big anticipation of we're building, we're growing, we don't know totally what this thing will be. And then it came and it was just a flood of joyful emotions. And then I imagine, like with having a baby, there's some really hard challenges, but you still love and believe in this thing. But definitely, yeah, just exciting to watch it grow and to have other people be part of the vision.
So would you call it an infant then? At this point, like would Future
Yeah,
Public School be an infant?
yeah, I would say maybe a toddler. Like this,
Okay.
the school is like starting to get its own personality separate from myself or my co-founder Brad and the vision that
Mhm.
we started. And I think that is really beautiful that other people get to have input and that there's this life taking off in the school that isn't just about Amanda. It's truly about our kids and families and our teachers and what they hope to be true as well.
It's
I'm worried
that
about
village
getting to
mentality.
teenage years.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you say would have been Future's first words if it
Oh.
spoke?
Uh, well, our mascot's a robot, so it probably would have been robot gibberish.
Okay.
And
Not like
maybe
Danger Will
joy.
Robinson or like
Yeah.
what was it?
Yeah. I said maybe the word joy. It's short and
Joy.
simple, but it's like deeply meaningful to our community and I think really speaks to just the culture we have here and um, has been here since the beginning.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what's the main difference between being a principal? Because you've also been
Yeah.
in the classroom, right? Do you still
Yeah.
spend some time in the classroom, or what's your day to day like
Sure.
as a principal?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, part of the shift from going from being a teacher in the classroom to wanting to pursue a role as a principal or in administration, um, I wanted to be a part of seeing developing adults and teachers to be their best selves. So part of my day, I get to observe classrooms and, but also get to interact with kids a lot and families. Um, yeah, so it's kind of, that's one of the things that I love most about my job is there's something new every day. And I get to help teachers be their best selves for kids, but still get to have proximity with kids, and I'm not totally separate from them.
And how's that responsibility? Because I mean, you're not just shaping, like you mentioned, you're not just shaping the lives of young humans, but
Yeah.
also humans who are going to shape the futures of other humans. And then you're also interacting with, I'm assuming, parents and then other external like stakeholders. How
Yeah.
is that like?
Yeah, I like any of the personality quizzes, tests, I always end up in the little bucket that's all about people and loving to just get to connect with as many people as possible. So I love that. I think there's also just
Mhm.
a great weight and responsibility of my role. One,
Yeah.
to make sure that the vision and direction of the school is not just about me, that it's inclusive of parents and families and teachers. And that's something that I see and hold as a great privilege, that I get the opportunity to really steward other people's voices. And that, again, is a great weight to hold. There's a lot of accountability and responsibility to that, but I think it's just such a privilege and great honor. Yeah, I'm learning a lot. There's still a lot that I have to learn in this role, but it feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd think with somebody in education, definitely, you've already passed that point of learning, but you're continually learning
Mhm.
as the community is shaping. Like, because Garden City, where future public schools, that community is also kind of finding its own identity as well. And I think even students are always finding their identities. So it's just a
Exactly.
constant iteration.
Yep.
Um, what do you think is your favorite part about your job? And what do you think is also maybe the most, I would say, challenging? I don't want to say difficult, but like just,
Yeah. Yeah. I would say my favorite part definitely is that piece that I mentioned about joy, that I just feel so privileged that I get to be part of helping create a culture where we get to build a school community that kids love to come and our teachers love to come, and we get to do really hard work together. Um, I think one of the most challenging things is that responsibility of my role, like even with decisions right now around COVID and making decisions about, is it safe to open school? And that's just one
Mhm.
example, and perhaps a really extreme example of decisions that I am tasked to make within my role that I often don't feel fully equipped to make. And that is a great responsibility. And there's mistakes I've made as a leader. And I think a lesson that has been so great to learn is always asking the question, like, through a challenge, what did I learn about myself, and how can I use that to make a different or better decision next time? Um, yeah, I think just always that weight of like, a lot of people come to me for the answers, and I am the first to say, I don't have them all. I can help you figure this out, but I'm not the expert of all things. And that just feels tough to not have the answers for people sometimes.
But I think that humility and that transparency also creates more of a trust in terms of understanding that, look,
Sure.
this leader or this individual who's helping lead, and especially with, you mentioned COVID, but it's such an uncharted territory, that
Mm-hmm.
you have to have that transparency and that humility to trust in that individual, that whether or not it may not be like the 100%
Yeah.
accurate or right way to approach it, you have the interest of the people who are there to make the best decision for them and for the betterment of the community, the
Sure.
larger whole, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you have some background in Teach for America, and Teach for America. I'm familiar with Teach for America, but I don't know that everybody watching this is. Could you explain what Teach for America is, and then maybe just even talk about your
Sure.
experience with Teach for America?
Yeah. And actually, one of my TFA besties, she just hopped on. She's live here. Hi, Emily.
All right, on.
So Teach for America is a national organization that seeks to find and develop teachers in their leadership. Um, and place them in schools to lead and make a difference for kids, and place a bet on their leadership that they will then go on to make an impact through their experience in the classroom, either through education, through the medical field. I have friends who are attorneys or work in public health or work in cities, or work in hospitals. And so truly the long-term vision and mission. And I don't work for Teach for America. I'm not the spokesperson, but from my experience, the vision is to equip teachers to see the potential and make transformational change in classrooms, and also have that experience lay a foundation for broader community and system level change. So for example, myself as an alum, I wouldn't have expected, without my experience in Teach for America, it's highly unlikely that I would have found myself in education, and that was a pathway for me to really see a lot of the injustice or inequity in education. And once I saw that, I just felt so committed, and have continued to be on a pathway of working towards creating more equitable opportunities for kids. So Idaho has a region. I actually have a couple Teach for America core members that have moved from throughout the country that we've hired here at Future. And I taught in North Carolina. There's a lot of different opportunities throughout the country.
And so I was going to ask this, but I think you alluded to it right now. Why? So maybe going back to high school, Amanda, what was your interest for after high school, and then how did you get to Teach for America, and then what? I guess you answered this question of what led you to pursue education, but where were you at in high school, and what led to the Teach for America?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think those are really connected. In high school, and neither of my parents graduated from college. Their wish for me was you're the brightest star, go do whatever you want in the world, which was really affirming, and I appreciated that. But I didn't really have a clear pathway. And so I kind of fumbled my way the couple years after high school. And as you shared, I pursued a bachelor's in sociology and was really interested in just understanding people and systems and inequity. And just kind of randomly, somebody mentioned hey, have you heard of Teach for America? You might be interested. And so I applied, and it just started to make sense. And I think the more that it was illuminated to me, that being in education and being a teacher, that there's just so many systems. When I think about myself, oh, how different would have my pathway been to college, to understanding my own self and the opportunities I had if I had more mentors, or a program within my school that I didn't, I fumbled through a lot of things, and I'm so grateful for my pathway, but it was a lot of just kind of happenstance and luck. And my parents, again, they were super supportive, but even understanding the pathway to applying for college and the FAFSA was not something that I had a clear pathway of support for. And so that's what's truly kept me in education, is how within the system of a school can we create an ecosystem that supports all kids from pre-K through their pathway to college to be supported and truly be able to access their potential.
That's awesome. So what would, in a parallel universe, another dimension, what would sociologist or what would Amanda Cox be doing if she didn't go this trajectory that she went down? If you had seen yourself in high school?
Yeah. I don't know. In high school, I thought I was going to be a forensic pathologist. So doing crime scene autopsies, which I could still get into. I'm also really into the celebrity food chef situation, big foodie. So I could see myself, but I don't know. I mean, I believe the universe brings you where you need to be, and I'm sure I would have found my way to education in some pathway. I think if there's any advice I would give, is being really clear about what your personal values are. And I think when I look back on the experiences I've had, they've all been deeply related to purpose and justice. And I think it was kind of inevitable that I found myself in a field that is very justice oriented, and yes, through education, but so perhaps not food, but or doing autopsies. I probably would have ended up in education some way or another.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess that's right. I mean, the way you're talking about it, if you're a flag bearer for, something that you hold true and you value, you'll find an outlet for it to, I guess, express it, and then also just, I don't know, build on it. Sometimes it may not be the main focus of your job, but I think it gets incorporated a lot. And who knows, maybe you can always put on like a Sherlock Holmes hat and then walk around with a magnifying glass around future public school and get into some.
I do have an astronaut costume back there, so
Okay,
maybe come visit.
when does that suit get put on?
I've worn it on the first day of school, so it might be on Zoom this year. We'll see, but that's kind of the tradition.
Is that something that everybody at Future does? Do they all dress up and on the first day?
No, not necessarily. Just part of our founding vision is based off of the JFK. We choose to go to the moon and do hard things and kind of rally around that. And so we kind of have like a unsaid space theme around here.
Okay, I dig it. Robots.
Yeah, robots, outer space.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like a Lost in Space episode the more I think about it. But
yes, exactly.
So you taught in a classroom. What was a classroom like back in 2007? And I guess from the time that you were in a classroom, what was that like?
In my head, that didn't feel that long ago, but no one had iPhones, let alone iPads. So even being in my role now and thinking about the resources and ways we're supporting teachers and asking them to teach and lead, I don't know, it's always good perspective for me to think about oh my goodness, we didn't have computers when I was teaching. I mean, they existed, but they weren't as accessible. And so, I forgot what your main question was, but
aside from the flip phones and the baggy pants that were in the classroom, what else was teaching in the classroom like?
I think I started with third graders, and then my last year of teaching, I was teaching in a middle school, and it was just so full of joy. It was really, really hard. I think similar to my role now, sometimes when you're doing something new, you just don't know what you don't know. And, I look back on things and think, oh my goodness, I did not know what I was doing. And I kind of laugh at myself, but, thankfully, flash forward in time with technology, and Facebook wasn't really open to the public.
I remember that.
And
you had to have a college EDU address.
Yeah. So just in the last 6 or 7 years, I've been able to connect with some of my kids and their parents that I had back in 2007. And my first group of students are going into their third year of college, which is kind of wild. Makes me feel really old. And 2 years ago, I went back for my first class of kids, their high school graduation, and that was really special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's really cool to be able to see. It's almost like you're seeing your plants grow and turn into
and especially in my role now, it has been such great perspective of sometimes I think in the moment, especially when I was teaching, I was they're in third grade, yes, I want to talk about college, but that's so far away. But then being on the other side and seeing them graduate, it just gives me so much more urgency that it's not that far away, and that I want to make sure that I'm leading my school, and that our teachers and our school community is truly supporting our kids, even from kindergarten, to be thinking about what their pathway may be, because it does come quick. It's not so far away out in outer space. It's just a matter of years.
Yeah, for sure. And Gabe, hey, what's up, buddy? So we're actually not going to be in East Idaho this upcoming month. I know that East Idaho Fair is still happening, but Buck the Quo is just going to be hanging out um, virtually for this summer. So who knows? Maybe next year. But good question, man. So I did have something that I was just thinking of right now. Oh, actually, so you were in a classroom and you're now the director of Future Public School, and you've had this pretty upward trajectory in terms of your career titles, right? Everything that you've done. Where, and not to take away from Future Public School and the growth that it's going to
Yeah.
go through, but where do you see yourself in terms of your role or just the impact that you're having in whatever it is in education?
Yeah, I was just sharing with a friend the other day that I feel really content in my role. Not that I didn't in other roles, but I think my younger self was like, okay, what's next? And you kind of do the next thing. And I just feel very, I feel like the work I'm doing right now feels right for the long haul. And I think I do see, given that we're still in our founding years, we still have a few grade levels to add, and just the vision that we've set, I feel really excited to be part of that. And I don't know, I think it's been a good, like, my early professional self really got stuck in the like what's next, and that really held me back from being very present. And I think that's a like mental exercise I've tried to really exercise or be mindful of the past few years, that I want to be really present. And who knows, maybe I'll be here in 50 years, maybe I won't be here in 10, but I want to be like 200% here for right now. And there's not anything else that I'm like, oh, I want to do. I mean, maybe a little food show on the side, but
Okay.
I'm really excited about the future of being here at Future.
That's really cool. I like that you
Yeah.
said, who knows where I'll be in 5 years, 10 years, but I want to be 200% here right
Yeah.
now. That is really cool. I like that. And then what kind of food would you be cooking or baking?
Oh, I've got some great things I can do with kale, some fried goat cheese balls. Honestly, I lived in the South for about
Hmm.
10 years. And so I just feel like there's such like a rich, unique food history and culture,
Yeah.
that I am not an expert at, but, just really love like good, hearty cooking.
And are you, so you mentioned kale and then, are you vegan or vegetarian? No? Okay. So I was going to
No, I
ask.
tried one summer when I was living in Mississippi, and um, I didn't have my own kitchen. It was really hard. I think it'd be hard anywhere, but no.
Well, in the South too, for sure, with all that barbecue
Oh
and just
yeah, there's such good
extremely
like
rich
meat.
food.
Yeah, it was hard to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Amanda, I'm going to hit you with a question that I hope isn't like too out of left field, but um, I think we're in a situation right now where we're just trying to make sense of everything that's happening,
Mhm.
especially in the educational landscape. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people that are watching this or are going to be watching this down the road, whether they're in high school or they're in college or they're considering maybe even just what to do after high school,
Yeah.
or even if they've already graduated from high school, where do you see the um, maybe two-part question. Where do you see the future of just education kind of leaning towards, and what would you say to somebody who is trying to navigate this landscape that would help them be successful in terms of what it is that they want to do?
Yeah. And jump in if I like get off track.
Oh, no, no, you're fine.
Yeah, I think I said this a little bit before, but I think the earlier someone or whoever's watching can identify what your personal values are, I think that those, so for me, purpose, justice, and joy have really been like a lighthouse in terms of like what I follow in terms of making decisions about how I spend my money, how I spend my time, career
Mhm.
choices I make. So I think that's really important regardless. I think in terms of like the future of education and where we're going. I think there's such an opportunity that has existed, but I think particularly with COVID and social unrest and Black Lives Matter and so many things that a lot of people care about and are being illuminated, that there's such an opportunity to amplify the voices of our young people, of our teachers, the people really on the ground. And my hope is that that would be something that is leveraged to change some of the things that we've just done in education, just because like this is the way we do things and this is how we did it 50 years ago, and so this is how we're going to keep doing it. And I think there's just so many more people who have just had more consciousness that, oh, like these things we're doing aren't working for everyone, and how do we create better schools and better educators and better communities that help more kids and more youth reach their fullest potential. So it was a little all over the place, but I think my hope is that we use this opportunity and time to really reimagine what the future of education could look like, and that students and young people have not just a seat at the table, but they have a voice that can impact some of the decisions being made.
Yeah. So not so much like a reset button for education or just so the social landscape or an individual's life, but an opportunity right now to make a change, and whether it's in your own life or in something around you, you know, this is an opportunity. Yeah, I totally understand. So these go by really quickly, and they're very informal, and I definitely want to, like, I know the focus is to let people understand about education, understand about what you do for work and what's important to you and just your background, so that people can learn that there are just so many different trajectories. There's so many different options. I think people put themselves in and I'm not saying everybody, but there's such a black and white mentality sometimes where it's just either or this or that, that, you know, having you on here and just talking about your trajectory, where you went. You spent time in the Carolinas and Mississippi. You're originally from the Pacific Northwest, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you ended up back here. You were teaching in 2007, and now you're raising a toddler of education. So, first of all, before I think we get to this last question, unless anybody else has a question, I know that we've had some viewers right now that are just sitting back and watching. But if you guys have any questions before Amanda signs off, make sure you ask those questions, whether it's about kale recipes. I think Emily wants to learn some kale recipes, or just anything that's going on in the educational landscape. First, Warley.
Oh yeah, he's sleeping. He's asleep back here.
Okay. That's all right. The effort was made.
Long day at school.
yeah. The effort was definitely, there was an attempt. And then, so Warley is your dog?
Yes.
Okay.
My other toddler.
Okay. And now, how old is Warley?
He just turned 3, and he comes to school. The kids, like, he's their favorite. He's known as like Chief Astronaut Warley. So they get to read to him, take him on walks, helps calm kids down, calms me down.
Yeah.
Good to have around.
Yeah, he's busy over there at the school.
I know.
No wonder he's pooped.
And we don't pay him much either, so it works out.
You pay him in back scratches and belly rubs. Sure.
Yes, exactly.
So Amanda, I like to just, and I think you've had some very good inspirational just nuggets that you've, dropped on us, from just the values that you hold dearly. And then also just, just your trajectory. I think it's inspirational to see everything that you're doing, and how focused you are on the community and who you're serving and the present. If you were to say anything just as parting words to somebody watching this right now or watching this down the road, whether they're high school students, whether they have graduated and they're trying to find some inspiration in terms of what they want to do, or they're just trying to find their calling still, or whatever it is that you want to leave this on. The floor is yours if you want to say anything to the audience that's watching this.
Yeah, well, I would say to my younger self, brush your teeth. I went to the dentist today. It was not pleasant, so start that habit now. But also, yeah, I think I would just like go back and reiterate, like really surround yourself with people, with mentors and friends that can help you just feel liberated to be your true self. And if there are any opportunities you have, or even on your own, to really define what your values are, that's something that has so guided my life. Even decisions of like, should I, when I graduated from Harvard, I had an opportunity to stay there or move to South Carolina, and, you know, lots of big decisions, or to move here to Idaho and back closer to home. And instead of having like a pro or con list, someone once shared with me, like, if you know like who you want to be, look at your choices in the sense of like, how would each choice help me be my best and true self? And that's just been like a mental exercise that has been really helpful in decisions about my career or personal life. So I think, yeah, I would just say if you can determine for yourself what your values are and who you want to be, just in like very simple terms, it will really serve you well. And I truly believe for a long time of just satisfaction and purpose in your life.
That's great. That's awesome. No, that's great. And I think you hit on something right now that that does come up a lot, is the decision-making process, but
yeah,
having trust in yourself. That's great. Well, Amanda, thank you so much. This is a really, like, this is a joy in terms of using the words for Future Public School, trademarked Future Public School. This was a joy, pleasure. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for everybody who watched and is watching this. And if you want to learn more about Future Public School, which is futurepublicschool.org.
Yep. And we've got Instagram too. So
got Instagram. So,
yeah.
You guys are way hipper than me. Whoever handles your Instagram account is doing a great job.
Me.
Is it you? Really? Nice job.
The other things, the life of the principal.
Yeah. You're definitely wearing a lot of hats over there.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, it's only a matter of time before Warley takes over and he's like,
oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And thanks everybody watching this. You guys take care, and enjoy the rest of your summer.
Awesome. Thanks. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.